So, my Horus Heresy collection started with the Mechanicum Tagmata, then a Sons of Horus army, which I got rid of, and then replaced with another Sons of Horus army. When Heresy 2.0 dropped, I added 5,000 points of Emperor's Children, and I already had a few thousand points of Custodies, and technically Knights as well. And now we're on to the Raven Guard, which you're seeing for the first time. But before we get on to the new stuff, here's 4,500 points worth of Mechanicum, which I started collecting back when Heresy was first spawned from the Forge World, that is Games Workshop. So, in Heresy, when a Forge World went to war, they would gather together as a Tagmata Omnissiah, which translates as that which is divinely ordered for war. It took a bit of divine intervention getting all these guys working together because the internal structure of the Mechanicum back then was very feudal and disorganized, made up of lots of different lords and archmagos and the cybernetic cults and the Myrmidon cults, as well as Collegia Titanica and the knightly houses. They would fight alongside the elite Scutari regiments, whose allegiance and command was ultimately owed to Mars. The same Scutari regiments that we know today, and make up the bulk of what would become the Adeptus Mechanicus. No two Forge Worlds would be the same, so no two Tagmatas would be the same. Some might heavily rely on the Macrotech Forge Masters and the engines of war, and some might heavily rely on the Legio Cybernetica. It really was a chocolate box with lots of different flavours and lots of different cults and archmagos that didn't like each other very much. It was ripe for civil war. And that's one of the reasons why I like the Mechanicum so much. It really isn't one combined thing. It's just as split and divided as the Imperium with all of its factions, such as the Astartes, the Navy, the Guard, the Navigator Houses, Inquisition, Administratum, Assassinoria. And the second reason why I like them so much is the models. It's always the models. There's no other army that quite looks like this, with big, stompy robots of doom and clockwork tanks. These tanks don't need armour. They're not STC variants. They're protected by overlapping defensive fields, sometimes flare shields. It keeps them light and very, very quick. And inside the cybernetic constructs is a person. Not a whole person, just a bit of a person. Their brain and spinal column, a bit of wetware, which has been attached to the hardware and then the machine turned on. The brains inside the machines don't really like the process because all of them never had a choice and almost all of them are in absolute agony. It's a very painful process. So the tech priests just fill them full of stims or full of drugs or just turn them off. Or in the case of the Thalax, just cut away all their nerve endings and pain centres, which is why they feel no pain. Then at the other end of the scale you have Myrmidons, who are ordained priests of the Cult Mechanicus in their own right, but they have all the best gear, bulked out, ready for war. So that's my Mechanicum collection. There is a tutorial on how I painted all of this in the back catalogue, and if you were to ask me what I want to get next, it's more Myrmidons. They're cool, they're really choppy, and I want some of those Domitar siege engines as well, and some more Thalax. You can never have too many Thalax. Now we're going to take a look at the Emperor's Children. Now I did make a video on this army when I was at 3,000 points, but now I'm over 5,000 points, and I'm pretty much done with this faction for now. The Third Legion always strived to be exemplars in the art of war. They practiced fluid, lightning-quick warfare and believed that speed and decisiveness assured victory more than strength and endurance. The Legion adopted large numbers of jet bikes and speeders, and as you can see, I haven't got any because this collection was inspired by the first 3 Horus Heresy books, or more particularly inspired by the 3rd book, and this guy, Soltavitz, the first loyalist. So I designed my army to look like loyalists trapped on Isfahan 3. That's why there's a lot of white in it. White signifies Terran ancestry, most likely loyalist ancestry. And that's why it's got a lot of veterans in it, and a lot of elites in it, and 0 fast attack choices. Well, 1 fast attack choice, the Storm Eagle gunship over here. I won't repeat myself because I pretty much talked about all of that in the last video, but then I added some tanks and I added some bad guys. I had to add some cacophony, and here's Eidolon, which was a gift, thank you. I had to have a chaplain because Charmosian is in those books. I had to have a Devastator squad with las cannons because Doug in Defenders on Isfahan 3 was better than a unit of las cannons. And now I can play them as bad guys or as allies with someone, and I still haven't got a biker or speeder anywhere in sight. But I will add them eventually because I do want to run the Maruskara Rite of War. The Emperor's Children are the only faction in the Horus Heresy that can pick which turn they come on from reserves, rather than just rolling for it. It's a powerful Rite of War, and you really need your speeders and your bikers to pull it off, but we'll get back to them. For now, 5,000 points is a solid start. My muse is pulling me in another direction. I have to shout out marchofwar.co.uk for these glorious bases, and for Salt and Place for painting that Legion standard for me. But I find myself pulled to another project, my latest project. But before we have a look at the Raven Guard, this is my Sons of Horus army, which I've recently added the Just Air and Terminators to, which brings them up to over 3,000 points. And while I painted the Just Air and Terminators, which, as a small aside, they can come in units of up to 12 and take multi-melters. Crazy. All the green fellas were painted to level 4 painting standard by Den of Imagination Painting Studio, and I did a video on that commission, which you can find in the back catalogue as well. Den of Imagination are adding to this force right now. Of course, I've got Horus coming, and Loken, and Abaddon, and some more tanks, big and small. Really looking forward to getting my hands on them. These custom plates here that you see, and the custom shoulder guards, again, part of the service that Den offer. Now, the 16th Legion were famous for their decapitation strikes. Horus believed the only good war was a quick war, and made famous the drop pod assault. So I haven't got any drop pods. What I want to do is make a rounded force with a bit of everything in it, which is unlike any of the other legions that I'm collecting. The Sons of Horus got everywhere. They did everything. There's no limit to what they could pull off, and there's a reason why they were on the box art. They also make great allies. You can slot a detachment in with any traitor force. So while I'm waiting on my reinforcements and the Death Guard, which are also coming from Den of Imagination Painting Studio, I was thinking about my next project. How can I keep myself busy and out of trouble? Where should I go next? Istvan 5 and the Raven Guard. What is not to love about the Raven Guard? The Hidden Hand, the Masters of Stealth, the SAS are the Astartes legions. Yes, I've got Korax, and maybe I should have waited until he was painted before making this video, but for now we're at 2,500 points, and I'm building this collection in a very specific way. The idea is I want these to feel like Raven Guard, the recon squad in the backfield with the sudden strike, elite units and fast units pushing forward. The collection is built around the Legion Recon Company Rite of War, which gives you a reroll to go first and a reroll to seize first turn, just in case your first reroll was not enough of a reroll. I painted all the Lightning Claws red to distinguish them from normal Lightning Claws, because these aren't normal Lightning Claws, these are Raven's Talons, which are like Lightning Claws, but a bit better. Then there's the hobby aspect to it, which is that the red really pops against the black background. You'll notice that not all of them have Legion symbols, which is a very Horus Heresy thing. In 40k, unit markings and Legion symbols are everywhere. In 30k, many of the squads had no iconography whatsoever. It's purposely done so you can't tell where the sergeants are or the specialists are. The Raven Guard, they valued stealth above all, and more than this, the Raven Guard maintained a distinctly flexible chain of command. Raven Guard, what's not to love? Anyway, I've got a Dark Fury squad who are dropped down in the middle of a battlefield to assassinate pre-designated enemy leaders. Then the plan is to add a couple of units of Mordathan, veterans from the Lycian Uprising and Adred and Korax to get this collection up to about 4,000 points. And I want to add about 30 assault troops, which in 30k all come with jump packs, and you can take them in as your standard troop slot. But in their wisdom, Games Workshop have decided to release a plastic Arvus lighter, which is a transport without a gun on it for the guards, before they even release the finished troop units for the legions, such as breacher squads or assault squads or recon squads. Yes, I don't know why. So I'm nearly there with this force, apart from some elites and some veterans, more skimmers in the backfield and all those jump troops, those assault troops whenever we get them. This one will pretty much be done. Unlike the Sons of Horus, where I want a bit of everything in it, in the Raven Guard, I want them to feel like Raven Guard. And another shout out again to marchofwar.co.uk for the lovely bases. But the next project on the list after the Raven Guard is the Custodies, because this is just over 2,500 points. And this is Constantine Valdor. Then all I need to do is add a few units of Terminators and I'm well over 3,000 points. Apart from that, I'm not going to add much more to the Custodies, however, for a couple of reasons. One, they're really, really strong, and I don't play Horus Heresy to smash my opponent into ruin. I play it because I love the game so much. I love the lore so much. So Custodies don't really need a handout, but more than that, I want to work on some of the Legion stuff. I've got ideas for Iron Hands and ideas to add other Legions. But it would be good to get my Custodies up to 3,000 points, because for now I've just been chucking them in as allied slots, and it would be nice to run them every now and then as their standalone faction. And a few thousand points worth of knights, which I got for 40k and have never fielded in Heresy. And technically you couldn't bring this as a list anyway, because in Heresy you need 2 baby knights for every big knight. And I've only got 6 baby knights, so you could do something like this, which would be about 2,400 points. So as well as adding Terminators to the Custodies, I guess one of the easiest ways to build a 3,000 point legal Horus Heresy army for me would be to get 2 more baby knights. But I spoke about my knights recently and the video's already gone on for a very long time, so I think we'll leave it there. So that's my Horus Heresy collection, that's where it is, that's where it's going, that's why it's going that way, and what are you collecting and why are you collecting it? What are you excited for in Horus Heresy? What is your favourite legion? What is your favourite book? What's your favourite character in a book? What is your favourite model? I do love reading all these stories in the comment section, so please comment below. Big shout out to all my subscribers and all my members who help support me. You guys are legend. Happy wargaming.